The way that you think, the way you draw conclusions about your business, about what's working, the way you manage your thoughts and your emotions, and your willingness to continuously get better, to continuously improve, is critical. That is the foundation for building wealth. And once you have that, well, now you're ready for what I call wealthy franchisee leadership. What I can tell you is that our ability to provide a great work experience is really important for retention. How many of you would agree that these days it's harder to find employees than it is guests? Right. So as much as we want to have, good guest retention, it's really important that we have good employee retention. And that means understanding wealthy franchisee leadership. So part of what we want in both the recruiting and the retention process is to have influence. We want to have influence over our employees, to give them the best experience possible and to get them to do the things they need to do to provide that ultimate guest experience. Well, there are three things that we need to be very deliberate about in order to have influence. Marketing experts use these things today. This dates back to Aristotle. First thing is what he called logos, which is logic, giving people the information they need to make a decision. So you think of a car commercial talking about the features of the car, the pricing, the financing that's available. For your customers, it might be saying, what are the menu items? What's the pricing? What are the specials? What's all the information? And for employees, it's like, what are the benefits? What are the hours? What's the compensation? It's logic, data, and reason. That's one way we have influence. But then there's what's called ethos, which is credibility. Why should I believe you? So it's about establishing your credibility and building trust. So maybe the car commercial doesn't say as much about the car, but it says how they're number one in their class. It shows you their trophies from J.D. Power and Associates. It shows Matthew McConaughey driving it. If he's driving it, it must be awesome. So for you, it's talking about the legacy of IHOP, how long you've been around, showing your employee satisfaction ratings, your online reviews, sort of really establishing your credibility as an established brand. That has influence over us. Finally, there's pathos, which is emotion. If we can make people feel something, we can make people do something. So the car commercial maybe tells us nothing about the car. It just shows the jealous neighbor watering his hedge, wishing he had that new car. I better not vote for that candidate because the one who's advertising is showing me how they're going to destroy the world. Right? So if we can get people to feel something, we can get them to do something. So I've seen your commercials lately, and your commercials stir up feelings inside me when I was a kid when my parents took me to IHOP, an experience I've repeated with my kids. That experience for me is more meaningful than just the taste of pancakes or getting a food. Well, it's the same thing with employees, that if we can get them to feel something, they're more likely to feel loyal to us. Now, let me ask you a question. If you only had one of these to choose from, you could only do one to market your restaurant, to run your business, how many would choose logic? How many of you would choose credibility? How many of you would choose emotion? Of course. There's that human factor. The way people feel matters. So here's what I want you to understand. Customers will pay more for an experience that feels good. Do you agree with that? Absolutely. Well, here's what else is true. Employees will accept less for an experience that feels good. All things being equal, I'll go down the street and work at Taco Bell or Denny's for an extra $1 an hour. So don't make things equal. Create a work environment that is better. And recruit in a way that taps into people's emotions. I want to read to you a help wanted post from one of your competitors. It's another restaurant franchise looking for hourly workers, in this case, a dishwasher. And I want you to think about the logos, ethos, and pathos element as I read to you exactly what they say when trying to recruit. Remember, these days, we have to be as deliberate in our marketing to potential employees as we do to guests. Would you agree? So here's their ad for new employees. Wanted, dishwasher. And this is all capital letters, so they're yelling at us. Must be able to work nights until 12 a.m. on Friday and Saturdays and until 11 p.m. the rest of the week. Must have own transportation. Please don't apply if you can't meet these requirements. Must have prior dishwashing experience, 5 exclamation marks. So they don't want some novice dishwasher. They're looking for a veteran in the dishwashing arts. Right? Now, why do they need an experienced dishwasher? It goes on to explain. You'll be required to use the dishwashing machine to make sure all dishes and items are cleaned properly. You must also put away all the dishes after they're washed. Oh, that's why they need an experienced dishwasher, because they have to wash the dishes and put them away. Goes on to say, starting pay is $16 an hour, $300 signing bonus given on the third month of employment. Is there logos logic in this ad? Yeah, it's sort of telling you the what's of the job, okay? Is there anything about the credibility of the employer? No. Is there emotion in the ad? Does it get us to feel something? Yeah. Fear. Now, I'm sure they're thinking, well, we want to weed people out because we don't want to waste time. But these days, when there's such a great emphasis placed on mental health in the workplace, who else are you weeding out? You can communicate the same ideas with a little bit more deliberate language. So you need them to work midnight. So instead, you could just, instead of saying must work, late shifts, you can say, hey, are you a night owl who loves to serve customers and work with a great team late into the night? There's ways of using the same language. Like you would never have an ad for customers with that kind of language, right? Imagine what that would sound like. Wanted, I have customer, must have working credit card. Like, you would never do that. Well, if the marketplace for employees is more competitive than the marketplace for customers, then we need to be very deliberate about our ads.